folks. Today, I want to share something with you that actually came across in a commentary as I was preparing for the sermon for this next Sunday. Of course, we're still looking at Jeremiah and preaching through the first several chapters of Jeremiah. And Jeremiah was asked to do some difficult things. He was given difficult messages to preach. He was asked to speak those messages to difficult people, people who often didn't want to hear what Jeremiah had to say. More importantly, they didn't want to hear what God had to say through Jeremiah. But also, this commentary I was reading said that it wasn't only the difficult message, it wasn't just difficult people. Jeremiah was often called to difficult places as well. And so particularly, what you may hear more about this Sunday is that Jeremiah was called to difficult places. One instance, he was called to preach a message to the people as they were entering the temple to worship. God was not pleased with the people's worship and how they abused the temple or didn't think rightly about the temple. And so as the people are coming in to supposedly worship, they're coming into church, so to speak. Jeremiah's on the church steps, giving this message about how they weren't doing right with regards to their worship. And then later, Jeremiah would be called to bring a difficult message to the king in the king's palace, right? And so not just sending the king a letter, not just sharing that from afar in the king's own house, in the king's living room. Jeremiah brings this difficult message. And so you may wonder, well, how does this encourage me? What does this do for me, knowing that God may call us to difficult places? Well, I think in order to get to the encouragement in that, we have to go all the way back to Jeremiah chapter 1 and look at God's call to Jeremiah. And so as God calls Jeremiah, he tells Jeremiah, don't be afraid, right? I've called you. I'm going to give you the words to speak. I will rescue you. And so even though Jeremiah would have a difficult message to bring to sometimes difficult people in sometimes difficult places, God was with Jeremiah. God would rescue Jeremiah. And whatever Jeremiah had to say, it would be God's words that he gave to Jeremiah. And so sometimes we may find ourselves in difficult places in life. But that doesn't necessarily mean that God isn't with us, that he's not putting us there for a reason, that he doesn't have a purpose in it. It could be, in fact, the exact opposite. Be encouraged that sometimes in difficult places, we're in those places because God wants us there, because maybe he wants to work through us to bring a message to someone else, or maybe we're in that difficult place so that God's greatness can be displayed, so he can display his ability to rescue us and sustain us and to help us. And so you may be in a difficult place, but remember that even though you're in that difficult place, that God is with you, just like he was with Jeremiah. Have a blessed day.